From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Executive Spotlight.
Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, our guest is Steve Lindsay from ZipDeal and Lindsay Automotive. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. I'd like to, kind of dive right in. But before we get started, I want to let the audience know that, they're in for a treat today. It's not very often that we have somebody that actually operates stores as well as, has a product that they offer to stores. Yeah. So we're really excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, glad to be here, and thanks for having me.
Cool. Let's get started with the pre-delivery. Dealers have a lot of things they've got to juggle, a lot of things to accomplish in that pre-delivery process. And it's really hard to stay consistent and to check all the boxes. Tell us what a pre-delivery system is and how it can help.
Yeah, so when you think about all of the loose ends that needs to happen during a car deal, it used to be you might set up customers' radio stations or program the garage door opener to the car. Now you're talking about, how far that car is going to go outside the lane as they're driving, and how well the radar cruise is going to work, as well as the app and everything else to personalize the vehicle. And really, when you start to throw a lot of this stuff at a customer, it becomes overwhelming, and it becomes overwhelming not just to the customer but also to the salesperson. And so that's really where delivery coordinators or delivery geniuses started to come out. You've got some manufacturers that are now paying dealers money to bring the customer back in for a redelivery. And it's just because there's so much going on. And so really, we see that lane of pre-delivery system as that downtime while the customer's waiting to go into finance. We basically tie up all the loose ends instead of them doing after the finance paperwork while they're sitting in the car. It's all done pre them going into finance. And then of course there's some upsell opportunities as they're getting ready to go into the finance office. And the customers love being a part of the sales experience because now they get to participate and have some fun setting up the car and all other stuff.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the dollars and cents you mentioned there. At a car dealership, you're more than selling cars. Your service, your parts, your accessories, F&I products. How can a pre-delivery system, help a dealership to make sure that they're not leaving any money on the table and they're exploring all those opportunities for additional revenue?
Yeah, so the gatekeeper to a lot of dealerships' profits happens to be that salesperson. And so they really control a lot of what that customer is going to be exposed to and not. And I don't think that's fair to the customer. I don't think it's fair to the dealership. Dealers have a ton of money invested in the showrooms and the inventory. And so for them to only capture maybe a portion of the profit opportunities or sales opportunities that are there, because that's all that the salesperson is willing to expose them to, really puts a clamp on potential opportunities and the future growth of the store. So we see ZipDeal as something that helps dealers grab these fragment opportunities. Fragments, of course, every dealer's in the F&I business, but how well are they achieving F&I? Are they hitting their numbers on their paint and fab? How's their wear care on leases? All of those loose ends that maybe a customer would get exposed to before they go into the finance office, now they're much more likely to purchase those products because of where they're at in the sales cycle. When you think about the sales cycle, the sales funnel, these customers are at the very bottom of that. So if you think about it as a checkout aisle or some of these additional upsell opportunities, those are the fragments that ZipDeal helps our customers, our dealer customers get. You're talking everything from F&I products, accessories, insurance, home and auto insurance. It's really what the dealer wants to get involved with because the business is there for the taking. It's just you have to expose that customer to it.
So how does that work? So I'm a customer. I'm waiting to go into the F&I office. Say I'm buying a Honda Accord from your Honda store, and so is ZipDeal going to show me the accessories that are available for my car, and then what do I just say? I'm interested, not interested, interested, not interested, and then maybe ZipDeal shows me the F&I products available, and I say interested, not interested, and is that how that works? Or
so ZipDeal, we're not trying to transact inside of ZipDeal. We're not trying to muddy the water. The car deal's closed, so really it's about exposing customers to these additional things. So use the example of accessories, right? Statistically speaking, we know that accessories is a $52 billion a year business. That's why SEMA is one of the largest shows in Las Vegas, right? People are going to personalize and buy accessories for their vehicle at some point. Are they going to buy it from you or an aftermarket competitor or online? It's just a matter of who wants that business. Mm-hmm. So the Honda Accord example, yeah, not only are we going to expose you as a customer to some things you might want to think about, it could be all-season mats, could be a trunk tray, it could be something as specialized as a dog cover for the back seat, maybe something you hadn't thought of. But we typically expose the customer to the top-selling accessories for that model. So we know that a Toyota 4Runner's accessories are going to be completely different than that Honda Accord's. And we want to expose the customers to those accessories that are the most sold, and we start there. I mean, there's a litany of offerings that a customer could be exposed to. We think 10 to 15 is really that low-hanging fruit opportunity that a lot of dealers see.
Interesting. Well, you guys recently launched a new module for ZipDeal. It's for referrals. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how it's working in stores?
Yeah, so the ZipDeal platform is built on individual models. So it depends on the dealership and what they would prefer to have. Most people that are in sales understand the power of a referral, right? It's the highest compliment is a referral, and yet our sales staff don't do a good job of asking for referrals. Here's a simple, independent way to where the customer's going through the workflow, and then as they're going through, the module says, hey, do you know of anybody else that might be interested in purchasing a vehicle from us? Would you mind sharing their information with us? You'd be surprised how many people are willing to do that, especially if the dealership experience is a positive one. And I think that everybody knows somebody that needs a car in their life. So we see a pretty good take rate, surprisingly, on that. Even if the dealer doesn't offer some kind of a bird dog or some kind of a bonus to the customer, people just want to share, especially if they have a good experience. So, the take rate on that is great. And then, of course, what the closing percentages are on referrals. I mean, they're extremely high. So.
I mean, I still remember the word track. Who do you know that somewhere down the line might be interested in a newer used car, truck, or van?
Yeah.
Right?
And you know what? We put that, and we can train our salespeople on that, but if I can put that in front of every single customer in this digital age that we work and live in, people are more than willing to share that information with us.
Well, and you're asking them on their phone, it's probably really easy for them to just swipe to their contacts and give you the information.
And they do. Yeah, I know. I mean, even in this age.
Yeah. I mean, are you seeing a lot of sales from that?
Yeah, I mean, we close probably 40% of those referrals. Really? So, yeah, I mean, I would say that less than 20% actually share something with us, but, 20% on, 7, 8, 900,000, I mean, it adds up, and then you're closing a good percentage of those. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about OEM apps. I mean, I know a lot of the OEMs really hold their dealers' feet to the fire to get their customers to download these apps. How can a pre-delivery system help a dealer to get their customers to download those apps?
So the app's a great example because there's a lot that goes into an app. You think about a customer having to know what their password is to download that app from the Play Store or the App Store. Do they have the connectivity? Do they remember their password? All of those loose ends. And then when they actually go to search for the app, did they even download the right app? So for us with ZipDeal, we basically have the opportunity to expose the customer to what is that value proposition. Why would a customer want to download the app in the first place? Mm-hmm. A lot of what controls the narrative for dealers and salespeople is, well, they're going to lose their bonus, or, well, the manufacturer just wants to do this, or I don't really know why I'm just going to lose my job if I don't do that. And that's the stuff that gets communicated to the customer. Mm-hmm. If we can help the customer understand why they should want this app, either through a video, 30-second, 45-second video, or just a static image that explains what the app is, and then ask the customer, do you want to download this app? Customer's going to say yes. Yeah. At that point, when the customer proceeds to say, yeah, I want to download the app, then the link goes right to the customer's phone with the actual app, and they can click on the app, download it from the App Store, look up their password, do whatever they have to do, so that way when the customer is actually taking physical delivery of the car, mm-hmm. The salesperson's not going through all this rigmarole inside the car, playing IT help with a customer over their shoulder in the tight confines of a car. It's already been done. Now it's all about setting up the car with the app to the customer's preferences. And it's nothing more than a great example of how critically important the timing is in the cadence that we do this in ZipDeal. And the customer is going to be sitting waiting to get into finance anyways, so why not put them to work, helping them understand and downloading the stuff so that we can respect their time and get them in and out of the store as quickly as possible.
Well, I mean, we've all had issues with our passwords and getting some technology to work, and there's no reason to spoil that exciting moment where you're sitting in your new car for the first time with, how do I get into this darn app? You know, like you can really take a great experience and make it extremely frustrating and ruin it if you're sitting there struggling with technology.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Presented from the Ishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Let's talk about service. Talk to me a little bit about how you can introduce service in that pre-delivery time period, and is that having a great effect on CSI?
Yeah, so intro to service, right? You know, some of these customers have bought 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars over their lifetime, and you're really going to take them back to that service department to do another intro to service. I mean, a good portion of them you dragged out of service, but yet we gotta satisfy that survey score. So ZipDeal allows us to do some of that through video, right? So we can say, you know, here is a great introduction to the service department. If you didn't know where it's at, here's the drive, here's the garage, all of that stuff. I mean, some dealerships, their service department's around the corner, so we show them maybe a static image of where the service is at. But we've done either a virtual or some kind of static image of exposing them to what the intro to service is. ZipDeal sets the first service appointment with every single one of these clients. So customer buys the car, we know their driving habits because we've collected that data. So now we know when to actually schedule that service department visit, which is the most important and helps us build our units in operation. When we build our units in operation, guess what? The rest of it takes care of ourselves. So right now, about 93% of customers that go through ZipDeal schedule their first service appointment.
Wow.
And I can only speak for my stores, but about 45% of those show for their first service appointment, which, I mean, I'll take those any day of the week, because the alternative is what my salesperson, if they do it, will go down to the service drive and have them sign into a guest book, and then we might reach out to them post, 3 months to schedule that first service appointment, but we can't get a hold of them. ZipDeal schedules it at time of delivery and sends them a link to their calendar so that that service appointment is on their calendar on their phone, so that we basically have it all set up and streamlined for them. And then of course your service BDC or whomever should reach out closer to that appointment and reconfirm the appointment. But it's probably my favorite app and side of ZipDeal, and it's been wildly successful.
Wow, so 93% of people that are going through ZipDeal are scheduling that appointment, and 45% of those people are showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That's huge.
Talk about units in operation. I mean, they spin up real quick. If you own a body shop, it's the same thing. The customer understands what your body shop is. They understand the value of OEM parts. And oh, by the way, they have the contact information to your body shop in case they get into an accident in your phone, so that it's there for them as they need it.
How does it affect reviews? I mean, because reviews, it's a very common topic. I mean, in these interviews, we probably talk about reviews, and half of them they affect so much of the business. Yeah. What can ZipDeal do to help with reviews?
Yeah. So there's two things. A, we can collect them, and we do a great job collecting reviews. And we ask the customer, "Would you mind sharing your experience with the world?" And the customer will either say yes or no. If they say yes, then we send them a link to whatever review that we're trying to focus on. So it could be Google reviews, which is most of them. Could be Cars.com, could be Car Gurus, could be Dealer Rater, whoever the platform is that the dealer might need some help in. That's where we'll start to funnel those reviews too. What's better about ZipDeal than everybody else is we have the temperature of that customer at the showroom. So we go ahead and take that temperature on a 5-star, 1 through 5. How would you say your experience is going so far today? Customer's going to rate us 1 through 5. If they give us anything less than a 5, the general manager, the general sales manager, the sales manager, the dealer, whoever we want to notify is notified that there's somebody in your showroom that has had less than a 5-star experience, and you may want to go touch base with them and just see if there's anything we can do to help. It does invite comments, and I would say that probably half of the customers actually share comments about, hey, it's taking too long, or, the coffee's cold, or, whatever it is. But at least it gives us an opportunity to address anything that the customer might have prior to them leaving the dealership, so that we're not caught off guard when we see a review 2 months later that says, oh yeah, it took too long or whatever. That can at least be satisfied and dealt with at time of delivery while the customer's in the showroom.
I did have the opportunity to see a demo of ZipDeal, so I know you have a whole heck of a lot of modules. Can you just bring up some of the ones that are most popular with dealers?
Well, accessories, first service appointment, insurance is an interesting one. We sell a lot of home and auto insurance, so dealers that have maybe thought about getting into that game, there's an opportunity for dealers to tap into that. The online reviews is another huge one again. You can replace your reputation management software by utilizing something that's not only going to collect reviews, but then give you the temperature of the customer ahead of time, so it's very proactive. I think probably one of my favorites is the marketing survey. Mm-hmm. In this day and age of just where people are consuming media, how did you hear about us? What media are you actually listening to or viewing? It really boils down to us, we have not because we ask not. And so we have a marketing survey that we offer dealers that basically asks them, are you watching Hulu, Peacock, or YouTube TV? How do you prefer? Are you a Facebook person? Are you a LinkedIn? Whatever social media platform that these people tackle. But you can ask probably 10 customer questions, marketing questions, and get all of the information that you want, and you see patterns. A good example that we actually participated in was we were looking to get some kind of a digital Cash App, whether it was Cash App, Zelle, Venmo. And instead of signing up for all of them, we just polled our customers and said, what do you prefer? And we overwhelmingly found out that Venmo and Zelle were the two ones that we needed to sign up for to be able to accept those kind of payments from our customers. So, just simple things that allow us to get the voice of the consumer directly to the dealership instead of us relying on all of these other people that are out there trying to control the narrative of our dealerships. We just find out directly from the customer ourselves. Yeah,
that's interesting. I guess because you're collecting all that data, you have a good idea that, okay, people that buy new Civics from me are interested in, they're on this social media and they listen to this type of music and they're watching this streaming service. Whereas maybe at your Buick store, maybe your Buick buyers, they might not be streaming anything, but they're consuming this other type of media, and so it probably really helps you to know where to spend money and which cars to put in on which channels.
You'd be surprised how ignorant you become when you see what the customer actually is consuming. Pinterest, for me, is huge in the Buick world. I would have never even thought of it. You know what I'm saying? And yet, your customers are telling you over and over and over, this is what we're consuming. So absolutely. It really, you can toss a lot of everything out, because not only does it differ by brand, but it really differs by location. People in Kentucky, people in Cincinnati, people in Columbus, people in Cleveland, they're going to consume media 3 different ways. They're going to have 3 different viewpoints, and they're all in the same state, right? There's just in different parts of the city. And so for me, I would rather just pull and get that information from those people that are choosing to do business with us. Yeah. And then learn from that to be able to find more of those types of customers to bring them to our store.
Wow, it's a perfect perspective for you, because you're not necessarily interested in what the overall Columbus market's interested in. You're interested in what the people that do business with you in the Columbus market. It's a subset, and so you're right. You can be laser focused with that data.
I know what every single radio station and how it performs based off of all of the personalization data that I've gotten from 8 to 1,000 customers a month. So, they can try to come to me from the radio stations and say, this is where all the listeners are, but I know where the listeners are because my customers are telling me this is what we listen to. Same thing with television. Same thing with the streaming medias and all that stuff. I mean, I know without a doubt what it is. And my sample size isn't 25 or 30 or 50. It's 800.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, if there's one takeaway, like one takeaway dealers that are watching this can take with them from this interview, what do you think it is?
I think if you look at my story and how we've been able to control the narrative, not just through a product like ZipDeal, but just, not relying on software providers, legacy systems, OEMs to control the narrative. I think when we put ourselves in control and we really understand fundamentally what we're trying to do inside of our business, right? Dealers are entrepreneurs, they're business people, and yet there's this void that a lot of people are trying to fill in our businesses. The legacy DMS systems is a great example of that. Part of the reason that it's so difficult to buy a car online or digitally is because of the legacy systems and how much of a grapple that they have on every single car dealership. When you look at a lot of the software providers that are out there, they've never sold a car a day in their lives, right? They're trying to come in and tell us how to do something. And yet we're not really seeing a lot of success in much traction in that arena. I really would just encourage dealers to take a step back and say, how do I get more control over my processes? How do I really weigh, why am I doing this? Why are we signing up for this app? What's the benefit to the customer? What's the benefit to the dealership? And I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's a lot easier to get on board with those things that actually make sense, and also cut through the crap and not put your customers through a bunch of junk that just isn't really going to benefit them or anyone else. And for us, that's really where ZipDeal came in. I was looking for something that would help the customer participate in the process, be a part of it, but then also add value to where they can extract more out of this experience so that their ownership experience of their vehicle is much more valuable to them because they learned about things at the time of delivery, not 2 or 3 years after they bought the car and somebody showed them something. So yeah, I would just say control the narrative and watch your business continue to grow.
Great. Well, thank you for coming in today.
All right. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, our guest has been Steve Lindsay from ZipDeal and Lindsay Automotive. We hope to see you again on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.